G'day YouTube, Max Wright, and I got a very cool video for you today. These are the 6 most asked questions that I get from Success Council members, okay? And it's going to serve a bunch of purposes. One, it's a great place. It's like, great place for people to go on one-stop shop and get the 6 most frequently asked questions answered all in one spot. It's going to save me a lot of time. What happened, I really noticed in the last video, I've got a lot of new Success Council members coming in every single week, and they all kind of start at the same place and have the same kind of questions. And so this will be compulsory viewing for them before they are able to ask questions in the live chat, because otherwise they're all asking the same questions and it takes too long to answer. So this will be compulsory viewing for all new Success Council members before they ask questions on my live chats that I do on YouTube for Success Council members. So let's get into it. You know what, I'm going to read out the 6 questions first and then go through them one at a time. So the very first question I always get is always, well, what do you think about Monero? What do you think about Chainlink? What do you think about this coin or that altcoin or all the things, right? So I will answer that. I'll do an overview of the entire altcoin market and what I'm interested in, what I'm not interested in, and whether or not asking questions about specific coins is in play. Question number 2 is, the market seems to be correlated at the moment. So we've got gold and silver and Bitcoin and the stock market all moving in the same direction. What does this mean and how do we play it? Great question. Question 3, how should I allocate funds in my portfolio? Should I be 20% crypto? Should I be 50% Bitcoin? Should I be 30% stock market? Where should these numbers be? What does it look like? Help me, Max. What should I do on that front? Question number 4. Okay, let's say, so I buy a Bitcoin now, I'm a new user, but how do I sell in 2 years' time, 3 years' time? What if the government outlaws it? What if it's gone into hyperinflation? Do I sell my Bitcoin for cash, but cash is in hyperinflation? I'm so confused. How do I get out of Bitcoin in a few years? Question number 4. Question number 5. What wallet or exchange do I use? So what wallet do I use? What exchange do I use? I get that a lot. I'll cover that one. And finally, I'm having trouble with my wallet. I'm having trouble with my exchange. I'm having trouble with this or that. What should I do? I will talk about those things all right here, right now. So I should not put that too far away. Okay, let's talk about altcoins for a little bit. So to begin with, there are over 1,000 altcoins. There's a lot of altcoins. I cannot be an expert on all of them. And in fact, I haven't even really got into altcoins big. I was years ago, but this world moves so fast. You really need to be current and up to date. So I don't claim to be an altcoin expert, not by a long stretch. I think around the end of this year, beginning of next year is when I'm going to be getting into altcoins. Let me explain why my rationale is that. Let me jump in here. Let me talk, what we're looking at here is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Actually, let's do this a different way. Let's hop over here and I'll explain what Bitcoin dominance is. Bitcoin dominance is a figure. I'm at a website here called coinmarketcap.com. And let's see, what Bitcoin dominance is the percentage market cap of Bitcoin versus the percentage market cap of all alts and Bitcoin added together. Okay, so we see way up here in the very top of the screen, the total market cap of all altcoins is 340 million. The Bitcoin market cap is 200 million. You take this 200 million figure divided by the 340 million figure, you end up with a Bitcoin dominance of 58.1. Let me slow that down for a second. What is market cap? The market cap of any given coin is simply the price of a coin multiplied by the amount of supply in circulation. Okay, so let me do that again. The amount of coin in circulation multiplied by the price of each coin, that will give you the market cap. And then the Bitcoin dominance is the Bitcoin market cap over all of the market caps added up together. Okay, so why is this important and what does it show us? Let me just, actually, sorry, I won't answer that question yet. Let me jump in here. You can click on, way up the top there, you can click on this figure here, which is the Bitcoin dominance, 58.1%. It is in this screenshot, way at the top, just beside me. What's happening? Are we clicking? We're not clicking? My internet is painfully slow. There it is. Okay, I don't know why that took so long. Graph is loading. Today, Junior. I think, oh man, I don't know why, but whenever I record, my internet just slows down. Even though I'm not streaming, I'm just recording to my hard drive, but it's the internet that slows down. Very peculiar. Okay, so this is the Bitcoin dominance chart here. Now, the orange line, this tracks where Bitcoin dominance is and what percentage of total market cap it is. You've got a whole bunch of other coins down here, and you can see Ethereum over here is the next one. Actually, what is this guy? Yeah, Ethereum. Tether has taken over now, but Ethereum is the next solid blue. So you can check, what percentage of market cap it is. So let me give you a little bit of Bitcoin history. For the longest time, Bitcoin was the only game in town. It was up here well over 90%. Now, something happened. You can see Bitcoin's dominance dropped off significantly here in the beginning of 2017. So a few things happened to collide. So for several years prior to this moment, we became aware of the fact that the Bitcoin ecosystem was growing and growing and growing and would soon be too big for the technical constraints of Bitcoin. They talked about it for a long time. Two solutions were posed and ended up becoming a war between two solutions. People wanted to implement this solution, people wanted to implement that solution. And basically they butted heads for the longest of times and actually just stood around doing nothing, debating it. And then it happened, and all of a sudden the fees on the Bitcoin network skyrocketed and became very expensive to use Bitcoin. And that was what precipitated this big downward fall here. At the same time, you had a huge ICO market. ICO is initial coin offerings. People were creating new coins, and they were using the Ethereum network to do those ICOs. So Ethereum's value skyrocketed. And you can see here, they almost switched what became known as the flippening. You see, it didn't quite happen. These trends reversed just before the flippening happened, and the flippening referred to Ethereum's market cap being higher than Bitcoin's market cap. That never happened. The flippening never happened. And so then they went on their own way. And you can see Bitcoin kind of solved its problems to a small degree. The ICO market collapsed after the 2017 December peak. And so the need for Ethereum went down significantly. And basically Bitcoin outperformed all of the alts for several years. You can see here, it looked like it kind of peaked around about here. Okay, I'm going to jump across to another graph. It's just the exact same graph. This is Bitcoin dominance. You'll see here is where it fell off. Ethereum, the flippening almost happened but didn't. We had Bitcoin's dominance, and now here's been the last year or so in this world. So let me zoom in on this world a little bit of Bitcoin dominance. And what you can see is that it operated in this channel for the longest time. Now then, we've been in here for 3, 4, 5, 6 months here. And way back here, I first started getting asked a lot, like, what about altcoins? What about altcoins? And this was the DeFi bubble taking place right here. And at the time, what I predicted was that I think what would happen is we're going to go down to this trend line, bounce off it, and come back up. And what I would do is I think we're going to come back up and test this trend line up here, maybe extend it out a little bit. And I think somewhere around here is going to be the time where I'm going to get into altcoins in a serious way. There was a short-term trend line on this downward trajectory. We've got lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. We had lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. It hit this bottom trend line, has bounced up. We have a higher high. We'll see where this high is. Sorry, we have a higher low. We also had a higher high. We broke this trend line. And so what I think is going to happen, we are in the first stages of my prediction coming true and working back up towards this trend line. Time will tell what will happen there. So what is obvious is that when Bitcoin dominance is getting high, you want to be in Bitcoin. When Bitcoin's dominance is going lower, then there are certainly some alts, and probably on aggregate, all alts are becoming, it's a good time to be in alts, is what I'm saying. So when Bitcoin dominance is trending down, we want to be in alts. When Bitcoin dominance is trending up, we want to be in Bitcoin. Okay, so as I've said, we'll have to see if this plays out as I predict, but I'm predicting this to come up. Does this work for me? No, I didn't mean to move that. Yeah, so I'm predicting this to come up here in this direction. Once we come up to this trend line, then it will be the time to be more interested in altcoins. Now, let's talk about what kinds of altcoins I'm interested in. The two kinds of altcoins that I am interested in are DeFi coins, that is decentralized finance. It's a whole world. I'm not going to be talking about that for another couple of months, so please hold your questions on DeFi. I'm going to be talking about that in a few months' time. The other kind is privacy coins or anonymous coins. This would include Monero and others. These are the two types of coins that I'm going to be very interested in, but I'm not interested in them yet, so please hold your questions on altcoins. You've heard my opinion. I'm going to see how this Bitcoin dominance plays out. I think Bitcoin is going to be in a good place for right now. Let's go to, is that all I have to say about altcoins? Yes, it is. Let's go to market correlation. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to check out a few charts here. Let's look at Bitcoin. This is just the Bitcoin price chart. You can see we're in a long uptrend for a while, but now we've put in lower high, lower high, lower high. There's this little bit of a trend down. You'll notice Ethereum has done the same kind of thing, starting to trend down. And this is not just in the world of altcoins. I'll go through here and get my other charts for, let's see, we'll do gold. Oh, well, this is the S&P 500, I should say. You'll see it started to trend down. Let's look at the Dow Jones. You'll see starting at the same time, it started to trend down. Let's take a look at Apple. Starting at the same time, it started to trend down. Let's take a look at gold. Starting at the same time, even starting a little bit earlier, it started to trend down. Let's take a look at silver. Starting a little bit earlier, it started to trend down. Every single thing is trending down. It means everything's in correlation, except for one thing, which is, of course, what everything is priced in, which is the dollar. This is the dollar index, so it's kind of like the inverse. You'll see it's posting all these green days here. By the way, just so everyone's clear, this is September 25th, 2020. So everything is going down except for the dollar, which the dollar is going up. So let's talk about market correlation for a second. I've used this analogy a lot. I think it's working well. Let's stick with it. For the last, since the 1970s high inflation scare, the dollar has been, US dollar, the petrodollar, it's been pretty stable. It's been a non-player and something we don't really need to consider in the world, in the markets. It's been relatively stable and working relatively well. So what that means is we've been focusing on other asset classes. Bitcoin or Ethereum or real estate or stock market or precious metals or commodities or bonds, you name it, because the dollar was relatively stable. Everything was getting priced in dollars, and so it didn't really matter. However, the dollar is the absolute behemoth of everything. Whether or not the dollar is healthy, whether or not America's prospects are healthy, that changes everything, and everything feeds off of that. The analogy I use is, the dollar is this big giant whale swimming in the ocean, and all these other asset classes, gold, silver, Bitcoin, Ethereum, stock market, real estate, they're all little fish feeding off the debris falling out of the mouth of the US dollar. And so the whale has been sort of staying at the same depth. And so we've been arguing and debating and investing on Bitcoin going up and the real estate going up, and we're just talking about little fish moving around this big fat whale. But what if this whale suddenly changes depths and this whale moves somewhere big? Then all those asset classes follow because they're feeding off its debris, okay? So what's happening now is because of many, many decades in the making, a massive, massive, massive dollar bubble is very much occurring right now. And I think we could see dollar collapse here in the not too distant future. Before we see that dollar collapse, I think we're going to see a dollar rise. So it's very much a roller coaster situation. The strength of the dollar is going to go up before the strength of the dollar is going to go down. What that means is all other asset classes are moving significantly because the whale's moving. And so we have this instance where there's a very high market correlation across all of the major asset classes. And that's something that we need to be aware of. So the question is, where should we be? Well, you guys know from my Great Wealth Transfer webinar, the three asset classes that I want to be in right now is either Bitcoin, precious metals, or US dollars. Now, these two are going to be in correlation. Precious metals and Bitcoin, they're going to be in correlation. The dollar is going to move in the opposite direction for all of these. So it kind of depends on where you think this is going to go. So I'm going to leave that market correlation there because I'm going to heavily rely on it on the third question that I always get asked is, Max, asset allocation. Should I have 20% gold? Should I have 30% crypto? Should I have 50% stocks? How should I allocate my resources? What's a good allocation from me? So this is question number 3. So first of all, I can't possibly tell you that because it's completely different for every single individual. Let me give you just a few of the examples of some of the things that are in my head from my situation and how it's changed over the years. When I was young, having first a little bit of success and first money came into it, I came across Bitcoin and I was like, well, I don't have much money. I'm just going to throw it all in Bitcoin. It's a very high risk adventure. I get that. And it's going to be high reward if it works. It turned out very good for me, but I was willing to bet the farm. All right, because I didn't have that much to lose and I never had anything anyway. So that was me at the time. Fast forward several years, that blows up. Obviously, Bitcoin's worth a lot more. I bought a lot more. I had a lot of business success outside of that. And all of a sudden, I got a lot of money. And I'm like, well, now I can't be all in one asset class anymore. I'm not going to go back to having nothing. So now I need to be a little bit more diversified. I'm like, okay, I've got this amount of Bitcoin. If it goes up, I'm sorted. Life is great. What if it goes down? I need to have some other things. And I'd already had precious metals from even before Bitcoin. But you'll see how my mentality changed to now I'm going to be completely financially free in any one of like 4 different asset classes go okay. I got a large cash holding, I got a large precious metals holding, I have a small real estate holdings, I have a big Bitcoin and cryptocurrency holdings. And so that, I had to diversify in that because I didn't want to go back to having nothing. Now I'm so insured and taken care of in many different areas. As new money comes in, I'm like, what am I going to do with it? Now I have a third mentality, a different mentality again, is just what's just going to get the best return for this. I've got all these things that are like going to take care of me and they're kind of hedging and offset each other. Now we're just trying to grow this portion as fast as I can. Now I'm being a little bit more adventurous. So maybe I'm holding it as cash right now because I'm keeping a lot of, as I said, I think the dollar is going to get stronger and I think there's going to be a market crash here soon. So that's just some of the things that go on in my head. Other things that go in my head. For the cryptocurrency that I bought way back when, I bought it in an anonymous fashion. If I go and trade it, I get out of there and go into somewhere else, I have to consider the fact that now I'm de-anonymizing those coins because I'm putting them on an exchange. So that's something else I consider. Something else I consider is that my cost base on them is quite low. I bought them a long time ago. If I sell them, just trade it. Let's say I sell Bitcoin, trade it for Ethereum. This is a massive tax consequence for me. So I sell Bitcoin to get into Ethereum. I got to give a good chunk of that to the government as capital gains tax. So that's another consideration that I have that maybe you guys don't. The reason I'm going through all of this is I hope you understand. There is no simple, what allocation should I have? It's like 20% crypto, 10%. I can't answer that question for you guys. It's just, there are way too many details that I would need to know about your circumstance. Plus, it's not the philosophy of Success Council. I'm trying to teach you guys how to swim, how to fish, I beg your pardon, and not just giving you fish. So I will share with you what I think is going to happen in the markets. But please don't ask me what you should do in any circumstances because there are so many things that I would need to know in order to provide any kind of sound advice for me to do that. Plus, I'm not licensed in any way, shape or form, like accounting or a lawyer or financial planner or any of that stuff. I got customers all over the world. Often you don't even tell me what country you're in. And so I'm just not willing to legally provide advice for your situation. All I will ever do is tell you what I think is going on in the markets and what asset classes is going to happen. You need to consider diversification, risk tolerance, tax situations, anonymization of coins or de-anonymization of coins, and many other factors, okay? So I hope that kind of ties in. Now, tying that back into Bitcoin dominance and where am I? Okay, so right now I personally, largely in Bitcoin. I have a good, healthy amount of cash, and I have plenty of precious metals. Now, if you're in a different circumstance, the question might be, if I did not have, let me answer it this way. Okay, market prediction for a little bit. I believe we're towards the end of 2020. I think there's going to be another big market crash, one where all the asset classes that are highly correlated get smashed and the US dollar gets strong. An analogy for this is, I believe that's going to play out over the next few years. There is a big funnel. There's all these different asset classes up here. There's real estate, there's et cetera, right? All of them are going to get smashed, and there's going to be a flee to safety. And what is perceived as safe is the US dollar. Okay, so a lot of asset classes are going to get liquidated, and they're going to come down into the US dollar. As a response, the governments around the world, and this is all around the world, are going to print their fiat currencies to try and dig themselves out of this hole, rebound the markets, save the day, do all the things that idiotic central planners think that they can do. And then all of a sudden, they're going to destroy their currencies. And then there will be a flee from the perceived safe haven of fiat currencies. Further, all of that wealth is going to flow into a much smaller part of this world called precious metals and Bitcoin. And then eventually, it will all come down into cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. So that's going to take several years to play out, but we're going to head down in that direction. And as we go down into each direction, I'm going to head down. So me, personally, I think cash is a good place to be right now. I've got my cryptocurrencies, I've got my precious metals, I've got those things. And as money comes in, I just leave it in cash or cash equivalents. I am looking for a big market pullback, and then I'm going to come in and buy a lot of those assets, more precious metals, more cryptocurrency, at what I think will be cheap, cheap, cheap. Now, if you do not have any precious metals, if you do not have any cryptocurrencies, that is not necessarily the idea I would recommend for you. I would have a fear, if I were you, that my prediction of this big market crash is wrong, and Bitcoin is going to continue on its epic rise that I'm expecting to happen over the next 12 to 18 months, and you never got in, and you've got to buy Bitcoin at 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 because you listened to Max and were expecting this big crash. What I would do if I were you, if you had some small amount of money that you want to play with, what I would do is I would put a small amount, 30, 40, 50%, something like that, into Bitcoin or into cryptocurrencies, let's say, and keep some on the sidelines. Hopefully my prediction will come true. You'll be able to jump in and get even more Bitcoin at a bargain at a later date. Okay, but fearing that I'm completely wrong and Bitcoin's just going to take off here soon, I would not want to be out of Bitcoin entirely. So hope that understands like two really big obvious use cases of what should one do or what would one do. I've just given you the example in two different scenarios of what I would do if I were in that situation. I cannot answer that question any further than that. Okay, moving on. I get this question, how do I sell Bitcoin? Or Max, what if we go into hyperinflation and Bitcoin's worth $100,000, but a hamburger costs $100,000, so who cares? Don't mean to be mean, but this is just like an irrational theory. You haven't kind of thought it through and actually gone down piece by piece. Is it possible that the dollar goes into a serious hyperinflation scenario? Absolutely, that is a possibility. But if it does, then no one wants dollars, right? So that's fine. That means everyone wants Bitcoin. So the value of your Bitcoin is skyrocketing. Now, is it skyrocketing compared to hamburgers? Almost certainly. So if a hamburger is worth $100,000, then trust me, Bitcoin's going to be worth billions. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about, what asset class do I go to? I don't know what it looks like in 2 years' time. In 2 years' time, it will be blindingly obvious what you should do. And if not, don't worry. I'll be here to tell you. I'll be telling you exactly what I do and what asset classes I move into. Don't worry about what exchange to use. Who knows? All the exchanges that exist today might not be there. But what I can promise is that with all this wealth, if Bitcoin is worth more and you're looking to sell, that means there's going to be even more options to sell than there are right now. So it's not a consideration. Don't worry about it. Maybe you'll sell and go into US dollars. Maybe you won't. I don't know if the US dollar will be there, but I know Bitcoin will be there. And I know that you might want to change into other asset classes, and that's perfectly fine. So just don't worry about what you need to sell or how you need to sell. It's going to be way easier then than now, because there'll be more people in Bitcoin then than now. The market cap of Bitcoin will be more then than now, and there'll be many more businesses servicing that industry. Don't worry about it. Question number 5. What wallet or exchange do I use? The answer to that is in the Success Council members area. I want you to follow that right here. I want you to come down to the Bitcoin Starter Kit and expand that out. And then top one right here, the 2020 update. Go ahead and click on the 2020 update, and actually it's right here, Bitcoin 2020 update. Watch this video and it's going to answer critical questions for you. What wallet do you want to use? What exchanges should you use? And again, I'm not giving you a fish, I'm teaching you how to fish. So I'm telling you exactly how to understand that, how to make your decision, how to find the exchange that's right for you. And all of that is gone through inside of that video, okay? And last question is, oh, Max, I tried to sign up to an exchange and they wanted this document and I couldn't do it, or I downloaded an app and it didn't work. Guys, there are thousands of exchanges out there. There are thousands of apps out there. There are thousands of coins out there. I cannot possibly be customer support for all of them. But the ones that I recommend you use all have great customer support. You can email them and ask them. Okay, if you download some other app that I've never mentioned, I've probably never even heard of it. And even if I had, I cannot offer customer support. So please do not ask me questions about the exchange you're using or the app you're using or the coin you want to buy. These are all things that other people provide support for, and I do not provide support for it. All right, guys, I hope that was super helpful. They are the 6 most frequently asked questions that I get asked. And I really need that. I just appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to watch this video. And now when I usually do them every 2 weeks, where all my customers can go and ask all their questions and I just respond to everybody in video. I'm going to make that. So now, please, you've watched this video. Now those Q&As will be way more efficient and way more enjoyable for everybody to watch, because we won't have 100 people asking these same 6 questions. So guys, I love you. I hope you appreciate this video. I enjoyed making it for you. Please subscribe, thumbs up, share, do all the fun things that you like to do. And I will see you guys soon. Take care.